basic Thai Sabaki. Thai Sabaki, or body movement in Japanese. The first thing you want to look at is the Hanmi, the thin stance that comes from Aikido. Hanmi is very, very different than a standard fighting stance. In fact, if you look at the two side by side, they look nothing alike, except for the fact that your feet are basically one's behind the other. So it's a very thin stance. That's why I say that. The Hanmi is a thin stance. It's not a traditional fighting stance. Now, if we zoom into my feet, you can tell that this line, let's use this line as our delineation between these two mats, okay? So here is a traditional boxing stance. This traditional boxing stance is a little bit wider, feet are 45-degree in, and I'm up. You can see that's very different than the Hanmi, which is almost heel to heel and then just slightly off that line. It's a very linear stance, and it looks more like this, like you're walking down the street, than a fighting stance like that, or wide stance. So the basic Hanmi is about like this, or here, and it looks more like you're walking forward. The other side, like this. So there's inherent stability, basically in a boxing stance or a Thai boxing stance. There's just more stability in those. So you're not going to use the Hanmi in traditional mixed martial arts. You're certainly not going to use that as your beginning fighting stance. But it has validity, because as you start to get into Thai Sabaki and you're using things like Irimi and Tenkan and Kaiten, all of these things are going to matter. So you're going to have to start from this position. It's much harder to do some of the traditional Aikido movements from a traditional or sort of a more progressive fighting stance. So practice that, make sure you understand it, differentiate it from all the other stances you learn, such as position of interview or boxing stance, Thai boxing stance, and so forth.